Ring, ring. Hello. Sobriety, are you there? Nope. Welcome back to Stuck in the Nail. Sobriety is not able to answer through my whiskey phone. And I got a special treat here today. Again, I'm Daft Hobbit. Welcome to Stuck in the Nail, the only podcast on the internet talking about Star Citizen from the perspective of some grunts. And we always start there. Grunts. Let's talk about ground shit, and then let's talk about air and planes and ships and trains and cars and all the things from the Hey There Delilah song. We'll talk about that after we talk about ground gameplay. But I have in the studio with me today it's a special fucking day. Let's go ahead and pan over to Angry Weasel in the flesh, dude. Dab me up so they know it's real. Sup, dog? Yeah. He's on a road trip, moving cross country, and he decided to stop by and grace us with his muscles, his bald head, and his Afghan summer t-shirt.
That's how we do.
We can pan over to that.
Dab, I think you hurt his hand with that dab. I saw him kind of like wince.
Yeah.
I wince a little bit.
Yeah, I did.
I'm a very wincy boy.
Yeah. And Hoots, welcome to you, my friend. I'm seeing you next week, right? I'm going to see you.
That's right.
We're linking up IRL in Las Vegas. I've linked up with so many privateers. I think I'm going to hold the record after Hoots. So, but that's going to be next week. You're coming to Vegas. We're going to gamble. We're going to smoke. We're going to drink. We're going to talk Star Citizen like I did with Exodore a couple weeks ago. We just sat in a cigar bar and talked Star Citizen for literally 6 hours straight.
Sounds like a good cigar bar.
Let's run that same play.
Let's run the same play. Thing. We'll probably lose more money because I know you want to gamble. Yeah, me and X didn't gamble. But we'll go lose some money. We'll add that to the list too.
Hoots' eyes just lit up.
He's like, gamble? All right.
I saw a little twinkle.
Say what?
No, a debilitating gambling addiction.
Yeah.
Not that one.
But update the community. Hoots, I'd like to give a chance for you to you've been busy as shit.
Dude.
How you doing?
Super busy.
Let's check in. We didn't get to hear from you at the latest branded meeting. So how you doing, dude? Let's give you a sec.
You know, as much as I love Chris Roberts, he's not the only member of my family. And I must work. I must provide. I got goblins to feed. And yeah, that time has to come from somewhere. And unfortunately, it comes from SC time. So
yeah,
sacrifices must be made.
Unfortunately. Yeah.
Good deal.
Well, that's good. Well, it's good to see you back. I know you've been busy. And so we haven't been as consistent with the Stuck in the Nails. So I apologize to everybody. But that's the way it goes sometimes. So I think we should just dive into it. I'll toss it over to you, Weasel. Like, what's the first topic you want to talk about today? In the shadow of the 3.23 launch, we've had some gameplay time. We'll get your opinions on things too, Hoots, because I know you've had limited time to play, but we still like your input. So kick it off. What's your first topic?
We always care. I'm going to talk about how SMGs have become the king of anything ground related.
Yeah.
Time to kill is gone up over the past 2 patches. Weapon tuning has happened, which is a great thing. It actually feels good. A lot of the weapons have different recoil patterns now, or dynamic recoil now. So each brand has its own kind of feel to it, which gives you the ability to like pick what you like. With that though, it looks like with the increased time to kill, they increase the damage and spread pattern of most of the SMGs, but with making those more damaging and a faster fire rate, they tended to pull back on the ARs and the LMGs, which from a ground perspective doesn't really make a whole lot of sense, especially when you say like I get the same amount of rounds with an AR on target at close range, but a guy with an SMG melts me within less rounds on target. Yeah. Still a bigger round, still has more kinetic power behind it. Why is it not dropping him?
Should we tell them about our 323? It was in Evo. It was in EPTU, and then also we did this again in the PTU when it launched. So 323, Angry and I. How many matches did we do in Star Marine? We just wanted repetitions on these guns. We did
probably an hour and a half, and maybe
8 to 12 matches. I'd say easily. We just hung in there. And the control factor was I stuck with the Lumen SMG the entire time. Maybe 1 or 2 matches I switched to something different, but I stuck with the SMG family. And probably 90% of the time was the Lumen.
Yeah.
And then you cycled through all of the guns that are have been meta in the past. The Karna, the P4,
The Gallant,
S71, Demco,
Yep.
FS9. So like all the big hitters. And you killed me maybe once or twice per match.
Yes.
And it has nothing to do with skill set. There was times where we were looking at each other. We both got the drop on each other at the same time.
Yes.
Or there was times where you got the drop on me with
Yes.
like a Demco, with an FS9. You got sights up on me. You were hitting me in the back. I was able to turn and engage you with the Lumen, and play shots in the chest and head. I mean, like,
Correct. Yeah.
as good as I humanly can. And I demolished you every time. And Angry and I, we often talk about how we think of the like, and I'm watching one of his streams on Twitch or like a video, and I'm like, oh, I would go left. And then he goes left. And so we do think a lot from, similar backgrounds in the military and other things. And we just play the game. We're very similar. We've been just chatting all day. He's been here a day or two, just hanging out on his road trip.
Yep.
So yeah, we're very synchronized like that. We're like a synchronized swimming team. But the skill gap is not big, right? Like it's not even there really. So two equally matched players, and I was literally dominating you. And then it equaled. Remember, like once you switched to an SMG?
Yes. Once I switched over to the P8, the P8 going against the Lumen has a fire rate to at least go up against it, but it also, even at medium ranges, was able to get rounds on target and then basically get you down, versus this exact same play style, exact same way I've done everything since I started playing the game and how I play most games. ARs, LMGs,
Obsolete.
like completely just didn't
Obsolete.
feel like they were actually hitting people. So yeah, that was fun. And the same thing with the sniper rifles, because they added this increased ADS time, which it feels better. I understand why they did that. I think that's a good gameplay mechanic in order to make like snipers not as meta. I don't need to be taking a 50 caliber rifle and being able to put it to my shoulder as fast as I can, a Lumen, and then one tapping you from any range and basically killing you with one tap, especially in a video game. But when you get rounds on target and you're firing with a red dot, and you hit 1, 2, 3, 4 times chest, mid range to short range, and it's still not dropping a target, you're like, whoa, wait,
with like a rifle.
Yeah, with a 50 caliber rifle, you're just like, wait, that's not realistic. Mind you, too, there was something else that was striking that was weird to me. It was the fact that we're using Brander's kit. So
Branded.
Standard branded kit. We are, we're in heavy tops, heavy bottoms, heavy arms, heavy helmet, right? And we're running around like that, and then we're going against a default avatar with medium armor or light armor.
Yeah.
And they were absolutely dropping us. It didn't matter if we were getting rounds on target first, or if they were, flipping around after we got, or we were engaging at the same time. They were still dropping us if they had a Lumen or a P8 versus an FS9 or a P4, which it doesn't feel right for like the mindset, but
Doesn't make sense.
no.
So there's a lot of gaps. But as far as the gunplay, Hoots, have you had any gunplay in the EPTU too? Because it hasn't changed much. I think they've just balanced a few things. But what's your thoughts on the gunplay? Have you tried the new weapons out? P4 is looking good and sounding good. Have you shot it?
Yeah. So I had a P4 and an S71. And the first thing I noticed was just the like tactile feel of it all.
Yes.
I think like Vesper was in there. I was just kind of running bunkers, just kind of getting a baseline for everything. And I was like, man, this feels crispy. Like everything sounds good. The recoil feels good. Enemy hit indicators, like it's a little more gamified, but to my little goblin brain, like that, it felt good. Like I felt the dopamine pumping in, getting really good feel on the shots that hit.
Yeah.
As far as like weapon differentiation, like, so if I could go back, I feel like this would be like maybe an audience question, but going back to the SMGs and the Lumen. So when you guys were going toe to toe in AC, what was the typical engagement distance? Like, are they effective out to 50 feet? And then like an AR would be more suitable? Were you guys like in sort of corridor type maps? Where were you playing at?
This is actually what we wanted to talk about actually is Star Marine, or the maps currently in the FPS of Arena Commander, now that it's called that, but they do not they don't force any mid to long engagements anyway.
No.
So the scope glint that they added, obsolete. Nobody's using an 8x scope at that range.
No.
And so 4x scope is actually kind of hard to use now, which I'm okay with. I like the snipers being more difficult. That to me makes more sense than a scope glint. But there's still players that are putting a reflex red dot on there with a P6 and, playing like a DMR style close quarters, 900 dark slide, 360 no scope, whatever the fuck.
Right.
So that's there. That's fine. But these are all close engagements, SMGs. The damage does fall off at distance, and I think that's where the P8 has an advantage over the Lumen slightly.
Yes.
The Lumen has a faster rate of fire, I think. Or I'm not sure. I'd have to see it on paper, but I felt like the P8 was a little bit more reliable at distance.
Definitely.
Because if I didn't close with you, you were mopping me up, but it was pretty there's the dogs. But it's pretty even. So this was at close quarters, and with an SMG, because it's meta, I don't feel rewarded, to Angry's point, that we're wearing heavy armor. I don't feel rewarded. Yeah. I don't feel like if I move slow and I make decisions tactically, like whether or not I have heavier armor on, it doesn't even matter. I'm just moving slow and methodical, checking my corners, and then I do okay. But it doesn't really, I'm not like, oh, I need the heavy armor for my play style.
Right.
I'm almost like I can do the same thing in medium armor, close distance, get closer, faster. So the meta's like light to medium armor with an SMG, stay in tight corridors. So you are really close. So you do come around the corner and you have an advantage. Because if Weasel was coming around, we were coming around really close, right? Because all the maps are close. Yeah. So you'd come around the corner. It's literally 5 feet away from me. And the time it takes for you to get a Demco or a FS9 or a Karna or even a P4 up, right. And then the capacity.
Yes.
The P4, they did up the capacity of the P4
from 30 to 40. Yeah.
But it shouldn't take, there's just so many questions I have. It just shouldn't take that many rounds from a rifle to a Lumen. So to answer your question, that in a roundabout way, the truest daft fashion
in your own
ever.
daft way.
Yeah, exactly. That was a fucking 10-minute answer. What am I, Jordan Peterson over here? Jesus. Dude, it was very short distances, and I made it so because the maps don't force me or don't allow. If someone got out, I think on the Good Doctor, right? There's the Hearst and palm trees out there. You can get some distance and keep distance, but it's just hard.
I still felt like even at distance, say on Good Doctor, where you're engaging on the outside, say I come out from the cafeteria side and I look across the bay or the little atrium area, and you're on the opposite side running into someone in the laboratory on the second floor.
Yeah.
If I was to engage you from there with an AR, it feels like I'm tickling you with the amount of rounds I have to put in your back or into the top of your, shooting basically
good point.
Body up, or
there's a lot of damage fall off even for the ARs.
Exactly. And then I still felt like at times there was either you with a Lumen or someone with a C54 or something like that could easily spin on me and get enough rounds into me from that distance. So that's 50 feet or greater. And then they basically could just drop me. Even though I'm getting accurate rounds on target, I'm shooting him. He's not moving very much. He basically spun in place, and I'm still pumping rounds into him. So in a way, yes, it makes sense for, I think where you're going with Hoots is from a close distance, a C54, a P8, a Lumen should absolutely melt somebody because faster rate of fire, more rounds, more damage. It's good. And it gets up way faster than, say, an AR. That's something that they added for all platforms. Basically, pistol, really, really quick on the ADS, SMGs, extremely fast on the ADS, and very easy to point fire as well, because I think a couple of times you didn't even go into ADS. You were just point fire me with the crosshair system. Yeah,
and the crosshair system's great, but that it does help a lot with the hip fire.
Yeah.
So it's it's almost a must-have for the CQB.
Definitely.
But we'll get into this in the when we talk about our latest operation. But I was having issues where if I spawn in a bed or get in and out of certain vehicle chairs, I wasn't quite sure how it was happening, but I would lose my crosshairs. Remember, I had to
yes.
I jumped into your chat in your Discord channel. I was like, "Hey, who is it? Is this you?" And you're like, "Yeah, it's me." I'm like, "I'm gonna shoot you in the leg."
Yep.
And you're like, it's working. Okay. I'm like, I'm sorry. I'm not getting hit markers. So now the hit marker is so filled with dopamine, like Hoots was saying, right? It feels very arcadey. It's like, psh, 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 and it's like, give you a little chirp when you get the kill, right? Like, you got him. It's very Halo feel. So I like it. It's cool. But what happens is there's a bug where if you go in and out of third person, or you like, I think it's if you spawn in a bed is what it's gone. And I don't notice it because it's so new. And so we were PvPing against each other on an 890 and I was like drilling other privateers, but I wasn't getting that dopamine. And so I'm like, my gun's broken. And so I like literally just surrendered to a bug that was not real.
Right.
And I wasn't putting it together that my hits were landing because I was now leaning upon this new little hit marker. And so I don't know how I feel about it. I wish it was just toned down a little bit.
I kind of like the fact that it is like that because it shows that CIG put in or I'll say they put it in. So when the crosshair is up, the new dynamic combat crosshair, when it comes up, you get hits on target and you hear an audible like click, a sound, a smack. And then when they go down, you hear an audible crunch. That's like you killed that target. And there's a big red crosshair, chirp. Right? But when it's not up, so I'm assuming that this is what happens when you don't have a combat HUD or you don't have a combat helmet on. You don't have the dynamic crosshair. Well, you still are able to get hits on target, so it's not affecting the actual mechanics of the game.
Yeah, it doesn't affect your accuracy.
Exactly. Really. So I had the exact same bug in the same occasion that you're talking about. I didn't have a crosshair up, and because of that, my brain is kind of screaming, "You're not getting hits," because I was just getting registered hits
a second ago.
Yeah, and then now it's like I don't know if I'm hitting, but like my other like lizard brain kicks in. It's like fire at the target until they either are on the ground, you run out of ammo, or they change shape.
Yeah.
So it's like...
Yeah, you need the satisfaction of that red X to pop up, indicating that they are no longer with us. They've passed through the veil of tears.
Yeah, which is a little dangerous, especially for like any FPS gameplay when it comes down to like, okay, so if I have a mining helmet on and you have a combat head on, do you automatically get the more arcadey feel or like, I don't know.
It's a useful tool, I think, but I found myself relying upon it because... I'm thinking about 16 different things in my brain, and I'm in a weird spot. I'm in a part of the 890 jump when we were doing that training. Like, I didn't know. I've never shot from that position, and so I'm like, oh, is it collision?
Some of it was.
Is it this? Is it that? And so, in the chaos, I'm like, oh shit, I think I'm bugged. You know, and so I went to go resuscitate a teammate. I'm like, well, if I'm bugged, I might as well just, and then got swarmed. I was like, well. So in my mind, I'm like, my gun's busted. But that was something too, right? So the crosshairs are fantastic for close quarters, fantastic for SMGs. But another thing I wanted to bring up, because if you put in your character model, right? Let's say you spawn in, and on your back, go ahead and try this if you're listening. If you're in the game right now, put a P4 on your back with no attachments, and then put a lumen on your back with no attachments, and then go third person and look. And this is for the developers too. This is for Zach, who's in our Discord. He's an awesome dude, Zach Priest. The difference between the size of a lumen and the size of a P4, there's no difference. The P4 is like maybe a half an inch bigger. Right. And so from what you guys understand about real world CQB, and again, this is a video game, I don't think it should be real world, but what is the advantage in a real situation of having a P4 like high powered rifle versus an SMG? If they're the same size, what's the difference? Like, what's the advantage in real life?
Who do you want to take it?
Right. Well, size almost implies weight, right? They're going to be weighing the same. You want one to have more stopping power, right? Larger caliber rifle. So, I mean, to me, those would be two big differentiators in my eyes if we're based on size on your back.
Absolutely, yeah. It's maneuverability. So in real life, right? If I'm coming through a doorway and I have to pull in an M16, like an M16,
right?
An M16, like 16-inch barrel, traditional buttstock, and I have to like maneuver that through a doorway. That's like, it's like holding the broom out in front of you.
Right.
An SMG, right? An MP5, it's like so tight. That's why they use it on ships, the Navy and Marine Recon and other people, like they'll be on ships clearing it with a lower caliber pistol round too, so they're doing less collateral damage to a ship or components, right, and putting rounds on target. But if I could take an AR-15 caliber carbine in real life, right, like SWAT teams, people that are doing actual combat, the P4, if it was a real gun, would be a fantastic little carbine. It's not an assault rifle, it's a carbine.
Right.
It shoots the same caliber, but it doesn't have as many riflings. It's not good at range, and it has so much armor penetration, right? That's what an AR-15, a 5.56 does. So Zach Priest and other guys look into this because these definitions matter, because a P4 could be a rifle. It should be hitting harder than an SMG. Ballistic or energy, not a factor in this case. Just the package, right? I can have a pistol caliber carbine. That's a real life thing. It's chambered in a 9mm. And I can have a small package, but it's a pistol.
Right.
Smaller round, smaller cartridge, less velocity, less kinetic energy. Then you get an AK-47 or a 5.56, some of the AR, rounds. If you can get that in a small package, that's what's preferred by CQB experts that are going in to breach a ship. They're going to bring the best weapon for the job,
right?
The best tool for the job, right?
And the other part about that is stopping power. You don't, like, an SMG is great at being able to take on unarmored opponents with fast fire rate, but it's also, you're using a smaller caliber round, whether it's 45 ACP, 9mm, whatever it is, 9x19, you're going to hit and you're going to get a lot of rounds on target, and it's going to cause pain and possibly disruption of actions, but you're not going to put that target down. If you have, say, an AR, whether it's chambered 5.56 or 7.62 or whatever, that rifle is meant to hit a target and physically push them back and drop them. It's, it creates a bigger cavity. It causes more pain. It disrupts their actions better because of the fact that it's a larger caliber.
You're still going to put somebody down with an SMG, but the knockdown, the punch, the quickness of death, it's going to take a lot of shots to get somebody down, even without body armor, right? And so this is coming from like the limited real world experience that we have from military operations or just using firearms, right? Like, yes. If you can take a small package that's quicker, that's faster, that's easier to maneuver and manipulate, but I'm still bringing tons of kinetic armor piercing value, high damage,
right?
That's the whole point of having a P4 versus an SMG, but they're just not meeting correctly.
No,
not even close.
No.
I'll tell you what I think what it is. Like, judging from what you guys said about AC, I'm taking what you said and I'm going to apply it to the PU, right? We're not always in tight corridors. We know that SMGs, Lumens, P8s, very good at that. They pack a wallop, they kill you instantly. But we don't ever land a drop ship in a tight corridor, right? We're always sort of patrolling in, and us and other people do this. We have billets. We sort of have designated loadouts based on the kind of play style we need within that group at that time for that objective, right? So to me, I feel like they're thinking about it purely gameplay wise, and then they're working their way back, if they ever even work their way back from it. Like, so we were talking about model sizes and calibers. I don't think that they really think of it like that. Maybe a little bit. But they're thinking, okay, shotguns and SMGs are king when you're close. If you're coming up on a location from a patrol in on the outside, you're going to want a long range weapon. You might want a medium range, or your P4s and your Karnas, something like that. Because, I mean, if you're coming in a real world scenario, well, in Star Citizen, and you can only bring one gun, are you bringing a Lumen? Are you bringing any SMG? Like, what gun would you bring if you could only choose one?
Depends. In the PU.
Yeah.
I've been.
And it's PvP.
Yeah. No, if I know it's PvP and I can bring one gun.
Yeah, not brain dead NPCs. You get one gun.
Yeah.
In the PU, PvP. What you bringing?
To just encompass all things, right? Like, it depends on the scenario, right? Because we can bring two guns, but if I could only bring one, I don't know. The S71 and the Gallant are doing okay in the PU against NPCs. And I think, considering the situation, I think those would be your best all-around bet. Probably the Gallant, because I can burst fire and hip fire with the new thing.
So it kind of covers more bases, you'd say, like S71. You still get like a ×4. You get some of that distance, but you can also kill up close with it.
Yeah, and they increase the rate of fire, and the recoil feels way better on the S71. So I'd bring either or. That's my official answer. But I will say this: you remember when we tested the scope glint out, Weasel, and you were probably 150 to 200 meters away, and I was just shooting with a P8. It's not select fire, it's just auto or burst, I think. Well, it is select fire, but it's not like a single shot option. Right. So I was just clicking the mouse real quick just to get one shot off, and I was hitting you at range. Obviously you were holding still, you weren't returning fire, but I was getting hits. They were minimal. It was like maybe 6-7% of your HP.
That was when I was on the second hillside.
Yeah, and you were prone.
That was almost 700 to 800 out.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
I think it was like 4. This one I'm talking about.
Okay.
It was you had started moving, but it was at distance, and I was getting tickle hits on you.
Yes.
Which is enough to make somebody rethink their position.
Correct.
Because like, oh shit, I'm getting hit. Like my first instinct is to move, not just like, well, how much damage did that hit do? And then look in the corner.
Right.
Oh,
like they know where I am. I must relocate.
Yes. I'm taking hits. And so the fact that I had a 1x optic, I think it wasn't a reflex, because the dot is just atrociously big.
Right.
But yeah, I was getting hits. And so it's not about like what weapon I would choose. It's about what are the definitions of these weapons. So that's my gripe I have now. I'm kind of over the scope glint thing. I thought it was executed well, but it doesn't even matter in the gameplay. So it's like, then it begs the question, why are we doing scope glint rather than balancing these weapons out? Because I think the time to kill for an S71 should be just as fast as an SMG, right? Because with an SMG, if I can get more hits faster, but I'm doing less damage, it's DPS, right? It's damage per second. It's damage over time. The closer I am, the more damage I can deal at a faster rate. So therefore, in close quarters, right, if you have the drop on somebody, you should absolutely be fucking shit up. If you can hold a PKM up, right? So what they should do is make machine guns extremely powerful, but you have to go prone or bipod to use them at close quarters.
Yes. Or
hip fire them like Rambo.
Right.
That's what. Think about Hell Let Loose, right? The machine gun is your favorite position to play.
Absolutely,
right?
it's fucking key.
Yeah. Well, like, what's your thought process behind a machine gun? If you get prone, right, you're gonna win.
Yeah. I've locked down a sector. I've locked down a field of fire. That's what it's hosing for. I'm hosing it down. That's my spot. No one's getting past me at that point. If they close distance, then it's going to be me basically going up to a knee and holding it by the bipod, and then knowing that I got whatever kind of muzzle or muzzle sway or muzzle bump from each burst that I do based on the different caliber weapon I'm using. That's going to be how I basically aim at the target. I know that I'm at a disadvantage there. I know I'm at an acute disadvantage there because the weapon that he has is more than likely an SMG, or it's a rifle or an AR. And
carbine of some kind.
They have the advantage at that point, but I know my weapon system and I can use it at that range if needed, but that's a dire circumstance. And it doesn't feel that way in Star Citizen right now with any weapon outside of an SMG. To answer your question, for my side, I would have used the Karna, and that's what I used during a recent op that we did on 890. And it's a good all-rounder. It's got good damage. It's got good accuracy. It hits hard from mid to short distances, and it's controllable. And it sounds terrifying. It works, but in an enclosed environment, or even at a medium range, several times when I went against Daft, he was able to basically with a lumen just melt me, and it was it's very apparent. The only time that he wasn't is when his HUD went down and he wasn't sure of whether or not he was actually getting hits on me.
Yeah.
So I think
we'll show the footage too. We're doctoring that up.
I think the biggest thing is making those weapon choices, kind of like what you're asking, Hoots, to actually matter and tactilely feel like they matter. Like I should know that, like, if I take an S71, a Karna, anything like that into a battle space, that like medium range, that's my domicile. Like I've got that. I'm gonna own that space. If I take in an LMG, I'm not going to be trying to close distance with you. I'm going to be trying to lock down a corridor or suppress you. And it doesn't feel like those two categories of weapons are functioning properly right now.
Yes.
Yeah. That's where I was trying to get you to go is where can you be combat effective with your play style, right? So, shotguns, SMGs, close quarters, P4, S71, Karna, medium, and then,
I will say
any
that too.
and all sniper for long distance, but they want you to make choices, right? That's ultimately what it's leading to. You get 2 weapon slots. You can't cover all 3 engagement areas. Which ones are you going with?
And I think that's great. I will say that like with this recent weapons pass, even though we're kind of knocking it a little bit, all the weapons feel so much better in this game than they ever have before. The recoil patterns, the way that the ADS, the way that each individual manufacturer feels different from another manufacturer, then also the different type of like say Bearing has the P8, the P4. Both those weapons feel like a Bearing weapon because they both feel very similar to each other, but the P8 feels extremely different from the P4, which is, I don't know how they really did that, but they did an awesome job on doing it. And then shotguns, for the first time I've ever had them in the game, actually feel impactful. Like if I have a shotgun and I close with you and say I come around a door and you've got an SMG and I've got a shotgun, I feel like me putting 2 rounds with a BR2 into you is going to drop you versus like last patch where like I'm just pumping rounds with a dead, whatever the dead rig or whatever the Devastator.
Charge.
Yeah. You pump rounds into people and you're just like, this isn't effective. This is tickling this person. And I wanted to drop them on their face or like, blast them back like it is in the movies. But yeah.
Well, the meta was the R97, right? Just eat their lunch with that automatic shotgun. Definitely. Like that was even effective in the last patch. And I'm sure it's still as effective, if not more effective.
It's good. They've equalized a lot of shotguns. So I'll commend CIG for the same things. Like they've done excellent with this on the weapon presentation, the sound rework, and the feel, the recoil patterns, and everything. So they're on the right track. But, like an FS9 with a box ammo, like a freaking belt-fed machine gun, should not even be competing in the mobility category. No. You should be weighed down. It should take maybe not weighed down in your speed, but you should have to bipod, go prone. You don't take a machine gun in on a raid. You put a machine gun outside on a raid. The machine guns are meant to lock down avenues of approach. They have primary directions of fire, and so I would encourage the CIG team to go look at some infantry tactics. Zach, if you want, hit us up, man. Like we'll get you some info. But like these weapons have meanings in a team thing.
Yes. Right.
And so if the gameplay for someone to have an FS9 is to sit and camp and lock down a sector of fire, in Star Marine the maps they're constructed well enough to allow different avenues. So you can flank somebody, you can go around. Like I don't have to go outside on the Good Doctor. No. I can just stay inside.
As a matter of fact, most people avoid it.
Yeah. I avoid it because there's somebody there with a camping mentality, but they have a sniper.
Yes.
So let it be. Like limit the machine gun's movement. If I pick up a machine gun, I shouldn't even be pieing corners like I would going around, running around like I have an SMG.
It's a shit scenario.
It's a shit scenario.
Yeah.
And so the power of a machine gun is to lock down an area and then timing and conserving your ammo reloads, ammo consumption, right? So like, am I burning through my ammo too fast? Am I going to get caught in a reload? Make that shit last long. Right. Like long penalties for reloading, tons of capacity, lower the mobility down. Don't even like an SMG. If you're up and moving,
right,
the only thing that can really counter an SMG is maybe some distance and a rifle.
As it should.
A carbine or a rifle. Yeah. But then you get close, what's going to equalize the SMG? An SMG and another SMG will equalize, or a shotgun might give you an advantage or a disadvantage depending on the shotgun and your play style.
Shot placement and time to react.
Yeah, so it's not really about, right, like what weapon it is. It's like like Hoots was, you're actually right on the money, Hoots. It's like, what distance are you expecting contact in? Because now what's the energy pistol? The Arclight pistol actually slaps.
Yes.
The Coda is always slapped, and the LH-83 or whatever.
Really cool machine pistol, but it takes
It's
3/4 of a mag. To
you have to hit all your shots on that. It's like you have to dump a whole mag to put somebody down in heavy armor. So it's a
instantly
great
gone.
sidearm.
Yeah.
That's a great sidearm still. Like just brat. It's the Glock with the switch, you know, dude. Like it's
Is it an SMG? Can we just call that an SMG?
it is. I think it's a little harder to control. And the capacity's low. So it's like if it's in that tier, it's the worst one.
Yes.
Because a sidearm, also that's another thing too. I'm actually on my kit in the PU. I'm actually getting rid of my sidearm just in favor of more ammo. Like I'm not even going to bring extra ammo for a sidearm.
I will say that they did something on this patch as well. They finally allowed the ability to friggin' cancel a reload.
Bravo.
Yeah.
Can we clap that out?
Yeah, definitely.
That's got me a couple times in the past.
Yeah, it's gotten, I think, all of us a few times. We're like,
What else can we applaud?
Yeah.
Weapon feel, excellent.
Weapon feels great.
Yep, clap it out.
The recoil, the new optics.
New optics are good.
The fact that I don't like this, but I like the fact that they're at least giving the attachment some love. The fact that if you have a crosshair system, combat HUD, or dynamic crosshair is what's called. If you have a laser pointer, it now actually increases your ability to hip fire. So they're giving you like perks for having a laser pointer on, which before it was just like, it's just a red laser. It's probably going to give you away. Now it's actually, it comes on, it gives you like a 15% increase in basic point firing from your shoulder. You're good to go.
So does it reduce the, I guess the spread cone?
This is the spread cone.
Yeah. And then if you're shoulder firing, you're point firing, it's hitting targets and your cone is actually staying more condensed than it would on say like if you didn't have the laser pointer on there. The other thing too is like, and the last thing I'll hit on the LMGs, and this is just because Zach, like I love LMGs. I want them to be good. I want them to be in a good place. They're my favorite like part of video games. They're my favorite part of real life. They're awesome. I love them. But you've got all of these weapons systems in a good place. Add a little bit of knockdown power to ARs. We're good there. And then make same thing. Add a little bit more knockdown power to LMGs and make it slower fire rates, more consistent fire with the longer barrels. And basically, if I lay down, I'm good to go. But make them a threat because right now they're not. Dimcoach in Star Marine or in the PU, and even SF9 or an F55, I'm dumping 3/4 of a mag, 3/4 of a belt, 50 rounds,
40 rounds with a Demco.
Yeah, 40 rounds with a Demco is what we're seeing on an average for me to get a medium range kill or a close range kill. When I got the drop on him, I'm just dumping rounds, and if they spin on me, I'm screwed.
Yeah.
But, so make those a threat, and then everything's in a really good spot.
Agreed.
One addition to that, add a loud ass grunt whenever they shoulder it. All right, and as you walk, make them like audibly complain about how heavy it is.
Yeah.
Can we put like Cube's voice in there?
Yeah. And that's the way of the machine gunner is you bitch about it until you get to shoot it.
Yes.
And you're like, I love this gun. And you're like, you were just achieved. The last 10 miles you were bitching. And you're like, yeah, but I love it now because I get to make her purr. But that's great. So there's a lot of good things happening in FPS, but there's a lot of confusion right now too because the meta's changed. And it's kind of frustrating because, we want weapons to work for what they are. So I think in addition to those things that you've requested, I would like to see some maps because if we want to practice mid to long range engagements and get data for CIG to do, we have to like logistically go set up a bunch of shit in the PU to get that. Like I can go into one map to get kind of some mid range, but like people can avoid me.
Absolutely. And they will.
They will.
100%.
And so if we have maps that are more designed for mid to long range fights, you'll get better data. You'll understand what it's like to snipe. You'll understand how the scope glint's affecting people. Because right now, nobody's using an 8x scope in Star Marine. They might have tried it out for a second, but that ain't working. Like, give us a sniper battle option on one of the tank maps. Like, let us go hunt each other.
I got a better solution here. So you just made all these really nice distribution centers.
Yeah, put one of them.
Beautiful. You made all these maps for Arena Commander where the ship battles can be in place on either the racing tracks or they can be in place inside the maps. Tank battles can be on yellow. They can be on here. So take those distro centers on Microtech and Hurston and make them into FPS maps where you can just battle it out over a small, like the outside section.
Yeah.
And
or even the whole thing.
Yeah,
like let us go interior, let us get close. And then there's those long hobbies or lobbies, excuse me.
Bump those up, good to go.
Yeah, and put a machine gun on the back of that thing, dude. Let him go,
get
let him bipod.
All the data that you need to get there. I think that would be perfect.
That will even the odds too. If I'm a solo player and I just happen to have an FS9 and I just happen to have my back against a good little piece of real estate and I have a good avenue to lock down, I could lock down an entire org.
Yep.
But I'm going to run out of ammo, right? I mean,
and someone's going to try to counter snipe you.
Someone's going to snipe me. Then the sniper to that, a locked in place machine gun position, a sniper is always a great counter for that. What else is a good counter for a locked? Like, let's say Hoots is posted up, and you're at the top of a balcony or whatever. You're in a doorway. You're locked down. You're prone. You're bipoded with a machine gun. You're just hosing people.
Ooh, I know. Smoke
grenades,
bounding over.
I was gonna say grenades when they work.
An actual GL. Also, the GL nerf is a little out of control.
Did they nerf it or did they?
Oh, it's so nerfed, dude. What was they? What?
So they increased the damage on it, but they decreased the blast radius.
The blast radius. Okay, so you have to almost direct hit. That's what it was.
I thought it was the opposite of that, where they increased the blast radius.
They bumped it at
damage
first, and then they pulled it back a little bit. And it feels okay, but they either added more weight to the round or increased the distance for it. So like now everything that we knew and everything we felt out for the grenade launcher that was like how you lob it around over to that target is now completely off. So now you have to refine that out. And it feels like you're basically shooting a bowling ball out of a grenade launcher.
Yeah. Or like just
noticed that in the video clip.
Yeah, he's like just bouncing.
He shot
around.
a guy in the feet like 6 times before he went down. Like they're all great splashes.
Now I understand, like, if in the future, right, if I'm wearing heavy armor, that shit better be frag resistant.
Sure.
Like, make it knock me down, sure. Like, whatever.
Yeah, you can't pilot. You can't get inside pilots. You might as well get some explosion, like damage reduction or like fragmentation. Like,
make the heavy armor worth it, right? Now,
especially with like wear and tear too coming in. Like, make it to where like, okay, yes, it has an active layer on it. So when it gets hit by that fragmentation, it's good for like, I don't know, 2-3 blasts.
Yeah, I got to repair it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Make it worth the damn.
Yeah, that means the heavy armor means something. I'm moving slower to better protect myself against fragmentation and spall from like a grenade.
Sure. Yeah.
And so I still could die. Like a direct hit would still kill you in heavy armor, sure. But like that's what it makes sense. But if you're in medium or light, like that splash damage should just dice you up, especially with the spacesuit on. Like,
there's a book series that you and I both read, and they have what I would consider like medium armor and maybe like a heavy helmet, and it's great because of the fact that it shows that like this material is made very well, and it shows that because they have the research and the like development assets to do that, they have this great armor, but there's still weak points. So like the joints, the under under the sternum and everything, the hips, any kind of joint, below. That makes it to where like that armor, if I shoot vital points, I'm kind of negating myself, but at the same time, I'm also like, I'm practicing good marksmanship. But explosive damage, for instance, if the fragment, it always finds those little spots, right?
Yeah.
And so like
the neckline.
If you added that kind of stuff, like
the elbows,
perfect,
the back of the knees, the back of the small of the back, the hips.
And I feel like that's where the like medium armor should be. Like medium armor should be like, it's good armor, like armor capabilities, but it doesn't cover as much as the body because it wants to still give you mobility. Light armor obviously is like, it's Kevlar, it's soft armor. It's meant to give you maximum mobility with a little bit of protection. Yeah. Heavy armor should be
vitals are protected.
Yes.
Right?
Heavy armor is, especially with the way that they've geared out with the legs, the arms, the head, and the chest. We should basically be like, I'm not gonna
say Iron Man
a little bit, but like make it to where like, shot placement really matters with the heavy armor. Like, like if I get you in the eyeball, like with a, or if I get you in the helmet with a 50 cal, like you're going down. If I get you in the sternum,
concuss me, make my vision blurry. Like give me a debuff of some sort instead of killing me or incapacitating me.
Tier threes instead of bloods, right? Like I'm not I'm not breaking through. I'm not getting my HP damage, but I'm like just racking up tier
A new
3s.
game that came out recently that I won't mention just because I want this to be more focused on Star Citizen and everything, but they did a really, really good job of like when you get smacked in the face, like with a helmet on or something, it immediately gives you almost like this tinnitus feeling. So you just get this loud ringing, and it's one of those things where it's like, man, that's really annoying, but it's really cool that I survived that shot because I chose to have a helmet on.
I chose that helmet.
And then also it's like, but it's also really rewarding in the fact that like I chose a helmet, I got shot in the head, but now the game's letting me know like, okay, you got shot in the head. You shouldn't have been having your head out in the open, by the way, but because you made the correct choice and having a helmet on, now you just got to deal with this ringing. Fix yourself. You're good to go. You're back in the fight. Like tactile things like that need to be more implemented into the game, and it's just it makes you feel like you're rewarded for the decisions and the prep that you made.
Yeah, or the game
It
style.
immerses you like you're there, like you're in the heat of battle. Right?
Yeah, like
that's what we all want.
I chose the machine gun with the bipod, and I positioned myself correctly, and that's why I was against Scope Glint. I chose the sniper, and I chose to position.
You won't let it go,
correctly,
Angry.
right?
You won't let it go.
No, it's just not. It's just a waste of time, and I think they're seeing that, right?
Yeah.
It's like.
It did exactly what it was made to do. It immediately made it to where, say, like, and they're getting ready to test it again. So they're at the time of their recording, they're getting ready to start up a new jump town. It's right after Invicta, or it's right after the Xeno, and then it's right at the end of Invictus launch week. So we're starting to see jump town spark back up, and I think their primary focus on that is, did we fix the problem that we came out to solve with Scope Glint? It is when we spin this up, are we still going to have just 8 to 6 to like these so many snipers just chilling out in the distance waiting for shots, or
I think so, yeah.
Is it going to be like
×4 optics?
Yeah, exactly. So like if they see that and it doesn't seem like it actually fixed the problem, if there's no change in the amount of snipers that you have out there, the kills that snipers are getting at jump town, then it's gonna be like, okay, well, we got to figure out a different way to do that. And that's where it comes into, now we have to develop more mechanics in order to make this work. But that has to be data, and it's the same thing we're talking about with the distribution centers. You need the ability to get data, and it doesn't need to be live events with the PU. If you're basing your game design and your gameplay mechanics off of events that are happening in the PU already, you've already failed.
Preach.
Yeah.
And
they've already established AC is the test bed, right? I mean, that's where engineering, you can, do engineering now. Yeah. Like, so we know that they use it for testing primarily.
Yes.
Yet for the ground FPS stuff, we, like you said earlier, we don't have great maps to test all the possibilities.
We were supposed to.
And those weapon systems are suffering because of it, because all the maps cater to the short range weapons, and those are doing great this patch, and everything else is like redheaded stepchild, right? So fix the maps and fix the weapon systems.
You know how fun that
100%.
like Star Citizen is in FPS combat and in PvP. Like we drive for it, we want it, we strive to accomplish it in a lot of the ways that we play the game, right? And when we get into Star Marine or we get into Arena Commander, it's like that instant kind of like, yes, this is what I want. But it gets really old really fast because of the fact that you have now this Call of Duty mentality where it's like, it doesn't matter if I'm practicing good tactics or good movement patterns or whatever. The guns have a meta, and because of the meta, you got players doing things that they're not doing inside the PU. Where that comes down to, and the fix for that is adding better maps, like what you guys are saying.
Yeah. And the armor is also meta.
Yes.
You see guys in heavy chest and arms, head.
My choice doesn't matter.
Run around with no legs.
Yes.
Whitey-tighties.
Yeah. So your choice doesn't matter at that point, and because of that, you're not getting accurate data. You're getting skewed data, and if you're basing any kind of research question or any kind of like development question off of skewed data, you're gonna make skewed mechanics, and it's gonna piss people off. Because I don't want to see a diaper fucking run into a room and wipe everybody because he had a lumen on, versus like the 3 guys that had heavy armor on, that had grenades, that had their med kits ready to go, had good AR setups and like everything like that,
or other lumens, and he just moved faster.
Yes, and they had good crossfire and everything like that. They had good sectors of fire set up. That should not be a thing.
And it can happen.
Yes,
but
it's flukes.
It doesn't happen very often. But the fact that the player who understands what to exploit can go like
will be a winner.
20 kills. Yeah, you go watch the Star Marine data. Go play it, and like the guys that are on there. I sometimes it's questionable. I think they might have hacks and stuff, but You know, I never like to accuse. I'm just like, maybe.
Yeah.
But there's some good players in there. They'll go, you know, they'll let everybody catch up. And then as soon as they hit 10 kills, they'll like flip a switch and then they'll just get the next 10 kills in the next 2 minutes.
Right.
Yeah.
Go crazy.
That's more evidence to your point earlier about how important maneuverability is, right? That's why those guys are sacrificing those legs so they can just run around like the Flash. So if we're wearing heavy armor because we think we're getting great damage resistance and someone in light armor with an SMG just lights us up.
Yeah.
Why am I wearing heavy armor? Because I'm sacrificing maneuverability, I should have the damage resistance.
Right.
Like that caliber should not be able to penetrate my armor. Kind of like how they're going to do ship armor in the future.
Yeah.
It's too small of a caliber. It's not even getting through.
It should give me enough time to react, right? So it should save my life. Right. That's what I would wear.
It should give you blunt damage.
Yeah.
It should not be like it's not penetrating. So it's not your time to kill it's going to feel like what it did last patch where you're dumping rounds into somebody. And because the weapon hadn't been reworked yet, you're just pumping rounds from an AR into somebody and they're not dying. It should feel like that with an SMG versus heavy armor. Certain heavy armors from different.
It should feel like an Orison boss fight. Like you go on the platform and the boss comes out in the gym. Yes. That's what they should feel like when they fight me and I'm in heavy armor. And I should feel like the boss.
And what does that do? Like so one, it's got to be more expensive, right? It's got to have a cost comparison that it makes it less liable or less likely for you to have that and the ability to continually respawn with that. But also, what does that do? Like, even though I don't like the fact that when you find a boss, you have to pump rounds into him. He just eats around. It feels very Division. It feels very spongy.
It feels like Destiny.
Yes. And so I don't like that. But my brain does instantly click. Oh, shit. I have to place rounds properly. I have to get rounds on target. And I need to take cover. And I need to get into I need to find better positions.
It's a little challenge, right?
Yes. So if that
and let it scale.
Yeah. And if that happens, say I'm wearing I don't know, the Citadel armor, which looks like it would just be extremely heavy, no servos or whatever. Now I'm moving slower. I'm basically walking with, an LMG.
Juggernaut kind of thing. Yeah. Cause it's really, I hate inconsistencies in video games, right? So it's like, if you're going to put a scope glint in because you don't like how certain people play the game, but then you're going to allow a player to have a size 9 torpedo and you're not going to give A2 bombs a scope glint.
Right.
I'm like, do you know how many org events or players that have been trying to do something have been upset by a size 9 torpedo or an A2 bomb? Yeah. Way more than snipers sniping at. Yes. I take my chances running from a sniper, a jump town, than watching an A2 bomb come in and I'm in the blast.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah, or just being on my ship and then a torp, I can hear the torp coming and I'm like, oh my God.
There's no running from this.
Yeah, you can't. So that's the balance. It's well, we don't understand how these work. And here's a question to you guys too. Hoots, what's the difference? This is the inconsistencies on that topic. What is the difference between a bolt of energy from a lumen versus a gallant versus a Demco?
Right. It's just a stream of energy, right?
Yeah. Is it a 9mm laser?
Maybe it's wavelength, where on the spectrum is it tight waves? Is it long waves? The tighter waves have more energy.
We'll throw the Karna and the arc.
I don't know. I'm not Bill Nye the Science Guy, but you could spin it. You could find a way to spin it.
Yeah, but we need that spin from CIG. Yeah. We need it.
Yeah.
Because if I go buy I go buy some Milwaukee power tools, right? That's the standard for if you're a handyman or you do something professionally, like Milwaukee drills and saws. They have all of these tools that are all powered by the same fucking battery pack.
Yes.
Because electricity doesn't give a shit. It's the same. Oh, there's different electricity. There's yellow electricity, and then there's blue, and this is ultra, and this is that's not how it is. It's just voltage is voltage. And so why is there a difference between a lumen battery pack? Think about it. A saw machine gun in real life, I can put a drum bag on, a 200 round drum. I can put a 100 round drum nutsack on there, or it has a magazine well. I can stick an AR-15 mag because it's the same bullet. Different weapon system. I can stick a mag. So you, as a rifleman, could toss me a 30 rounder and I could stick it in the side mag well and I could have the saw spit that fire out at a faster rate of fire with a larger effect over an area for suppression, for locking down an area, right? So think about that. If I have a lumen mag, why can't that work in a Demco? It's just a different, I want a bigger battery on the Demco. So give me the same one, but why can't that mag slide into the same? It's just a connection point, 2 pieces of copper connecting energy.
So they're getting ready to do that too with the with 4.0 coming out. They talked about resource management and basically how they, on the latest Star Citizen Live, they wanted to bring in the fact that all the weapon pools, the size of the weapons will now be exact same. So like a size 3 Gatling versus a size 3 ballistic cannon versus a size 3 ballistic repeater are all using the exact same round, meaning that when I go to when I go to salvage a ship, now I can pull those rounds, pull them off that thing, put them onto mine, as long as
you might find an armor period, like depleted uranium round.
So that,
like
works great, and they should do that, but they should do it exactly with what you're talking about. Easy way to do that is stop with round counts based off of magazine size. Like you're shooting like a charge pack shouldn't be like I stick it in the bottom of a Gallant. And
just
now
like
it's
that book series.
Yes. So like I shouldn't stick it in the bottom of the Gallant and then it'd be like, oh, you have 45 laser bullets ready to go. It should be you, based on the power setting that you have set right now, have about 45 rounds. And it can be precisely 45 rounds, but they're going to hit, that at like a medium charge, they're going to hit X. And if I put it at a high charge, it bumps it down to like 15 rounds. And
10.
And it's going to slap the shit out of them. But it's also going to make more wear and tear on your weapon system, and then you're gonna basically degrade that weapon faster. That's a good counter. That's a good way of doing it. It makes my decision matter, and it allows me to pick and choose what I want to do. Yeah. Plus, it makes it to where like all of the Klaus and Werner weapons, the Gallant, the Lumen, the Demco, and the Arclight, all use the exact same round. You're good to go. Yep. Obviously, you're not going to be able to put a Demco battery belt on like a Lumen, but you could take a Lumen mag and insert it into the side, and it's going to give you 3 shots.
Yes. Yeah. And that way,
that idea just got me so excited.
Dude, that's so cool.
Right?
Thinking about the possibility, like your fire selection mode is just how strong of a charge that shot is, like how much of your battery capacity is used. And the reload, instead of having a reload, it's sort of like it overheated, or it's recharging, but it recharges quickly. Maybe it siphons something from the atmosphere or nearby whatever they decide to do it in lore. But
so
that would be so freaking cool if it's just a percentage, and your shot selection dictates how much each round takes of
your
that
selector
percentage.
Switch is different.
Exactly.
And you can still keep them in the same class. Like an LMG is meant to throw it as fast as possible.
Yes.
So it has like a different,
matters now.
Yeah, and it's closer and it's easier to. But if I want to do one burst at full capacity and just burn through a charge pack.
Yes. Say I'm going for armored targets. I want to just melt them because I know that they're getting ready to come out in the open, and I want to just absolutely decimate them. Full charge. I've only got 50 rounds, but I'm going to make those 50 rounds count, right?
Yeah,
and I'm going to swap out batteries. Good to go. And so maybe I have 2 gunners.
And it might break my gun in the future when they add those things, right?
Yeah.
It might need repairs. It might.
Throw on top of that, that also makes your laser pistols worth a damn. So like say an Arclight, or I don't think there's any other laser pistols. Yeah. So Arclight, Arclight. So say I want to go burst mode, cool. But if I go up to full power setting, maybe burst mode isn't allowed anymore. It's only got 6 rounds now, or 7 rounds, and it's a high power. Like I will drop you from a close range.
It's like a competitor with a Coda.
Thank you.
It's like 4 rounds.
Now, you can have battery degradation over time too. The more aware you have it, it won't go 100% charge.
There you go. So now your mag repool is like also not working properly because you have to find new mags. You have to replenish. So running energy weapons in general would cost you more, meaning that you are better equipped, you're better supplied. So you can do that. Also, with the lore aspect that you were going with, they've already said that like if you're wearing certain types of armor, like the ADP, the UE Marine variant, that armor would be meant to basically, you would put the Gallant battery back on like your torso, and it would trickle charge the Gallant battery from the charge pack on your power armor, basically, which again would give you a reason. Say if I'm running heavy armor and say it's got a large
power.
Yes, it's got more power. It's also got a larger EM signature, and it has servos. but it means that I can't run around and I can't do sustained operations in that armor, right?
Yeah.
So again, there's all these counters that can be put into that, and it allows you to like make decisions.
And that to be realistic, like that is such a huge depth of decision.
Yes.
Other games have done similar things. Like look at the progression in Warframe and stuff. Like
Yes.
convoluted as fuck. Like modulation slots out the ass so you can take an armor to be what you want it to be. But that's kind of what Star Citizen needs with some limitations.
Yes.
Like probably not as wide of a scope as Warframe, but like, yeah, that's what we need. Like how can a UEE Marine take his ADP armor and customize it to his liking for his shooting style or his mission, right? It's got to be multifaceted. Like Angry's been over my house yesterday and today. And of course we're sitting here doing, we're talking tactical shit, doing tactical drills and going over gear in the garage. And I'm showing him the versatility of my plate carrier. And your plate carrier has some modulation with a zipper system.
Yep.
Mine has a buckle system. So I can get multiple mission sets out of the same equipment just by swapping out a couple components.
Right.
Right. Adding value to a reconnaissance patrol versus like a faster, tighter setup for a building.
I think they're trying to do that too. They showed off Last Citizen Con, I believe they showed off the pouch system that they were trying to do. But I think that pouch system was only mainly made for like clothing.
Oh, cool.
Civilian clothes.
Yeah. And
Carrying capacity.
I would love that though. That's
right.
That's
So like
cool.
say they took that and they applied it to like the Morozov armor. Morozov armor looks cool. It's got good
it's
plating.
got all those box pouches
Yes.
on there.
Say I could take those off, or I could use those as like when I put them on there, it gives me the smaller ones give me like, I don't know, a little bit of SU space, and that allows me to put mags or IFAC or whatever in there, which is I think what they're trying to do with the civilian, like the clothes. But like, just do that for the armor too. It gives you
they
more.
could totally do that for the armor.
Yes, and that makes it way more customizable. It makes it way more like IFF is a lot easier at that point because like, oh, hey, that pouch on there. And you could do this for every set of armor that you make. Because if you're going to make the pouch system for the civilian clothes, you're going to make the Morozov armor, right?
Yeah.
So the Morozov armor the Morozov armor has 8 pouches along the belt system. It's just a Morozov plate system. And now you can put pouches on there.
I could put a 4-piece pouch
Yes.
in there. I could put 8 one slot, like one magazine pouches.
And especially with the new inventory system and everything, it just adds like a little block. It's like, hey, you have more spots for mags. This was a mag pouch, so you have 2 mags that can fit in there.
And like, how you can currently put things in your chest piece, right?
Yes.
Or your legs compartments. Those compartments, they should also kind of auto do something. If I'm like sacrificing movement and speed and there's not much choice with heavy armor, well, like if I put med pens in a medical pouch or it's like built into the armor, it's a slot. I could put 2 to 3, or maybe it's just 1.
Auto inject them.
It's an auto inject. So I can focus on fighting. I'm getting lit up. And if it drops, I can, if it drops below 75%, it hits you with 1.
Yep.
Or if it drops below 50, you get hit with 1. And that's very something that's science fiction that would be there.
Yes.
Right. That's in the book series.
More
we're talking
utility
about.
slots.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Think of whatever. Yeah, you can imagine. But yeah, let us have them.
Yeah. So
Agreed.
I think there's so much focus on Star Citizen ships because that's how they make money. We all understand that and we love that.
Yes.
I want to talk a little bit about the Ironclad and then maybe we could cut it there.
Sure.
But the ships are focused because that's the moneymaker, but they forget. I hope CIG doesn't forget that Star Citizen is actually a first-person player experience.
Yeah.
That's what this podcast is about. It's about first-person player ground tactics and ground combat, because that's what it is. Mining, everything is first person. Even fighter piloting is all done in the first person. Don't forget that your ship is just the tool. It's like an FPS weapon. It's just what you're bringing to the fight as a Gladius or a Fury or whatever. So the first person experience needs to be enhanced. Like I would love to see that same thing, compartments and stuff. Stims, so you can pull more Gs.
Yeah.
Right.
Definitely.
Stuff like that a pilot armor auto injects that into you, or you have certain pouches that can hold certain things for piloting, or that interface you better with your ship.
Yeah.
Right. That'd be
And then
cool.
Drake ships just don't have them. Like all the other ships have them except for Drake.
Yeah, Drake's got nothing. So, but let's talk about the Ironclad real quick. Appreciate everybody listening in. Again, you can find us at Branded Privateers on YouTube. We're getting a website up soon. We've already have the domain. We've had a website up before, but yeah, we're gonna start putting out some merch I think we have some test stuff out. There's a couple prototype shirts out there. So yeah, track us. You can find us on Discord too. Just go to YouTube, Branded Privateers at YouTube, and you'll find our Discord link. So if you're looking at this, bring your friends. Go check out the content. We got some cool shit going up there. But to end it out, I'm interested to hear Hoots' thought on the Iron, both you guys', because I don't know much about the Ironclad. I'm trying not to get excited about ships to protect my fucking bank account. So hit me, dude. Why is the Ironclad dope for ground operations or for BP?
He's got a smile on his face. He's happy.
He does.
I mean, well, I like anything top loaded. Honestly, that was the coolest thing to me. Like the sort of tractor bay areas and the top loading application along with a ramp. Now I just watched that ISC on it. I didn't dig too deep into the RSI page, but I saw that there was an assault variation with some upgunned, weaponry on it. Maybe more armor.
Yep.
Could the top open on the assault one as well?
Yes.
Did the armor get it? Okay, so it still opens.
Yeah,
okay.
same functionality.
What are the big differences besides gun? I mean, probably hull HP. Are there any sort of like one gets 2 shields, the other one gets 3? Like I don't know.
I think it added a bigger repair station, so that it was more focused on like transporting military vehicles and being able to transport like Centurions, the
Like
Atlas chassis,
sustained military stuff.
yeah, tanks, stuff like that. So it has a bigger repair bay, so it reduces the cargo capacity, but still the same kind of bay. Opens up the top, has a ramp instead of I think. The tractor beam, I think in the concept images, it shows like 2 turrets up on the top with, whatever size weapons that have those. So it has a lot more forward facing firepower as well.
So dude, what if it was one tractor, one gun, and to get their shield down, you hold them in place with a tractor beam and you just fucking shoot them with the other.
That's the original.
That'd be awesome.
The base Ironclad has where the turret is on the assault variant has an industrial tractor beam over there. And then the other side is a turret. So you could technically
like let's get goofy with the gameplay. That's what I want to do.
Hoot shreds them, and then the shields go down. And instead of like finishing them off, they're like, "Why aren't they shooting us?" And it just picks them up with a tractor beam and just like starts smashing them into a rock.
Yes, dude. One thing that's exactly what would happen. Like,
exactly,
dude. Like, think about right now, with your experience in the Air Force, right? And my experience in the Marines, or anybody that's had military, or even just watching a military movie. What do you think U.S. Marines would do if everybody had a pocket tractor beam?
Oh, yeah.
How would that evolve combat? And so I know that CIG's got a lot to think about, and they can't think of it all. And that's why we're here to help them test the game. But they have a game developer answer. And I don't think they understand how that would impact warfare. Kind of like regeneration tech. Your 100,000 man army is now able to respawn 10 times. You now have 1 million man army. It's easier to throw bodies at a problem than it is to throw a Nova tank, right? Like, it changes warfare and it changes strategic points. Now, like a Carrack with a bed that it doesn't have enough defenses.
So.
Right. Same thing with a tractor beam, dude. Like, what are the combat applications of a tractor beam?
So
it's exactly what we're talking about.
I can imagine this. One, we've all, like, most of us have probably played like Portal and like the finals and everything like that. What's it?
I'm going to pour you up. I'm going to top you up.
Go for it. So we've all played those games and they have like guns that have the ability to basically pick up things, or like powers that pick up things. And that's immediately what I think about whenever I see tractor beams. Is like, dude, somebody would just pick up like gas tanks or a person or a dead body and just chunk it at somebody, and it would actually do something, like
it's the Half-Life 2 gravity gun. I mean, I
think we all did it.
You feel like a god in that game.
Yeah. Cheers. I think we all would do that as well, because we've all tried it already. Like, I think the other day I got blown up by a cutlass on one of the derelict missions or whatever. I went down to a derelict outpost. I took out the guards. I was getting the box, and the cutlass comes in and blows up my cutter. And I was like, fuck. And then my immediate thought is, wait, what if I can get like the fin off the back of the cutter and just like put it up in the air and smack this cutlass out of the air with it? So my dumb ass is like running around on Herson, like trying to smack this, like, but it never worked. But I'm like, the physics engine's there, it would work. And like, I do that because that's exactly what a military member would do. It's like, I don't have a gun that can kill that thing, but I got this rock. That is a big
improvise.
Yeah. Well, that brings me to the last op we did. We were doing PvP on an 890. And so we had some boxes on there to simulate our methods. and somebody just plugged it into the, like,
Hi.
you can totally area deny somebody and at least delay their progress.
Yep.
Because I had a tractor beam, and so Viddy was trying to shoot around, and I would like open the door. I'd push the box through the door, and he'd be like, "Whoa, close it, close it, close it,"
Yep.
and I'd pull it back in. And so that's the combat applications, is you almost have this like combat engineer who's just like using this anti-gravity gun to lift stuff up that's like 10 times his weight. And then you have the rifle variant of it that's like a full industrial size.
Right.
And so like imagine a team volley firing a Nova tank. The shields go down. You don't even have to finish off the tank. Just
Pick it up and flip it over.
pick it up and flip it over. Yep. And it's power it down or whatever. Or just hold it in the air.
They should really make that rifle variant have like a combat applicant that was like either made by like, I don't know, Grey Cat or something, but like instead of having just the tractor beam attachment, it should have like a pulse attachment where it could like shoot out a pulse of tractor beam,
Right.
Like, and
Repel
same
it
thing,
away.
yeah, same thing you're saying, like
It just
tanks,
freezes.
tanks shields go down, light ships shields go down, and they just fucking pulse. And it only has like maybe 50 feet, distance they can go, but like it just hits them and it just like rolls it down the hill or something, or rolls it off into a canyon. That would be awesome.
Yeah, we're talking about like a whole new weapon system. So like, you know how we have the quantum snares and the quantum
That'd be good
denial
non-lethal as well.
it's like, well, yeah, like why can't I just snare a ship with a tractor beam like Star Trek? Like if they're in range and they just we're caught in its tractor beam, like that was always their writing loophole.
Because
we can't move, we're forced into this scenario.
The Star Citizen community would immediately exploit that, break it, and break the entire game. Because they even showed it like when they first pulled they were doing the tractor beam rework, and they showed off the rifle variant, and then like the end of the ISC video was the guy basically like holding an Aurora MR in place, and it's like trying to get away, and he's just like on the ground. He's like, ha ha ha.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, well that wouldn't work, because it would just like pull him off the ground. But that's also cool applications, and we've even done it in Pisces or Nomad when we were like space surfing with the tractor beams.
Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah. You should CIG. You should definitely allow that to happen at greater speeds.
Yeah, like if I'm gonna board a ship, like I need a way to latch on.
Oh, dude, especially now with the new EVA.
Zinc. Yeah,
Just like
I should be able to magnet on, dude. Like, that would be cool.
Hoots, you did
Be like
miss that,
Tom
too,
Cruise in Mission Impossible, just stuck to the side of it. You know?
I wish. That's
Just like
dreams.
Yeah, climbing on the outside of a C-130. My ass, but it was really cool to watch. It was really cool. But yeah, the Ironclad. We talked about some good stuff today. Hopefully, this is all good. CIG and CIG, mainly Zach. If you're in our community or like in our Discord, and you're hearing me bitch and everything, just know that we love the game. Like we're with you. We just like to be heard as well. Sometimes it's all about ships.
Yep.
And then like, hopefully people see our YouTube content and they go, oh man, these guys, they do some interesting stuff. We're not the coolest out there, but I think we're making a name for ourselves. Just the content and the footage that we put out, how we present it, our branding, and then how we play the game is kind of unique. I think even compared to other orgs, you've been in some before. Like this is your first org, right, Hoots? But you've been here for almost 3 years. That's crazy.
I'm a loyal dog.
Loyal. Yeah, and it's going well. So you guys got anything else? Any saved rounds? Anything else you want to touch before we dip out?
We hit on one of the head FPS people that we've had contact with, and that like we've been able to interact with at CIG, Zach Priest.
Oh yeah.
But also, I will say that the missions team as well. You guys are doing an amazing job. The UI team especially.
Yeah.
Keep doing what you're doing. Like the missions and everything are starting to flesh out, and you honestly those 2 teams and those 3 teams at CIG make that game what it is in the FPS experience. Absolutely amazing. So you guys are doing a great job.
Well said.
We're just trying to hopefully give you guys a little bit more perspective from a fresh set of eyes and everything. So hope you guys understand we love your game.
That's a great place to end it. You got anything else, Hoots?
No, that was so sweet. I don't even want to follow it. I agree 100%.
Yeah.
Right on.
That's the Angry Weasel.
Yeah. Well, find Angry on Twitch, Angry Weasel, Angry_Weasel, WEEZEL.
I spelled like the French.
Find Daft Hobbit on Twitch. Find our YouTube. Find Hoots in the Discord, hanging out when he can. And that's
My
it.
OnlyFans, Daph. I didn't tell you about
You
that?
got the Only.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
OnlyFans and
Hoots-
Feed Finder.
And Patreon.
Yeah, it's Hoots Glutes. That's the name of it.
It's glutes. Don't tell Knock, dude. He'll sign up.
Here he is.
Yeah, he wastes enough money, man. All right, but that's it from
All right,
us.
guys.
We'll see you guys.
See you on the ground.
See you on the ground. Yeah.
See? I
Nailed
knew
it.
it. I
You
knew it,
nailed it.
Daft.
He got it.
Nailed it.